I guess the big trending thing was that whole Dylan Mulvaney, Bud Light, Nike sort of thing. Like, is it so bizarre that these big brands, these massive brands like Anheuser-Busch and Nike, like clothing brands, are now obsessed with aligning themselves with biological males that are pretending to be women? I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Is it surprising? No. I don't know.
I'm
why
actually surprised, to be honest with you. I'm like, why are they doing this? Like,
well, the same reason any big company is doing it. The same reason every June any company, at least here in the U.S. within the Fortune 500 or greater, is changing their logo to rainbows.
mm-hmm.
They
don't do that in Saudi Arabia though. Like, I remember they did a comparison in June, like BMW, Boston, and BMW, Saudi Arabia, and the ones in the Middle East stay the same, right? They go for the trending thing, don't they?
Well, because it's no longer about money. It's about staying in power, and it's about executives at these companies that want to continue to stay in their jobs and continue making money. They have to pacify the woke crowd. So, if they don't,
or is it like offshoot people in the marketing department that have way too much power? That's what I'm wondering.
It's definitely part of it. It's definitely this whole diversity and inclusion that's just become an entire department now, and now it's become as important as marketing and or sales. But it's all of that. It's it's the risk of, I can't remember, it was, I believe it, I don't can't remember which, I think it was Coors a few years ago. You guys remember those commercials where they ran those in the Super Bowl? It was like, it was a song like "I Love Twins" or something like. I can't remember exactly what it was. Somebody might be able to pull that clip. But that's how far we've come.
We've gone like Coors Light, like is in the beer company.
They ran a commercial, yeah, and it was like during the Super Bowl, and it was this guy singing like a song, and it was like, I can't remember exactly how the words went, but basically, he was talking about all this manly stuff. And at the end, it was like, oh, and I love two blonde twins. And that's where we went from. You may be able to find it on a quick clip, but we've gone from that to now we're about a biological man parading as a woman in a bathtub. Look, like, who cares? I don't drink beer much anyway. Bud Light is swill. It's garbage beer anyway. But
I think I found the clip, so I'll put it up on the screen, but I'm not going to run the audio.
Yeah.
Because you usually get in trouble with stuff like that. But let me.
So it's all that rolled into one. It's no longer about money, in my opinion, because the people that are fighting for this kind of stuff, the people that are championing for all, they're not buying beer anyway. Like, the people that are buying Bud Light are not these people.
Yeah.
So it's not even their target market.
So I'll just play it while Moff's talking, but I mean, you can clearly see, what it is that, he's talking about here. It's basically TAP, they used to call this TAP when I was, younger. It stands for tits, ass, and poon. Right. And, this is where they've, taken it now. It's now gone to, a place where you've got some dude that thinks he's a chick parading around. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I get that there's people that are, that might feel like, I'm going to use feel like, quotations, because you guys should know how I feel about that by now. But there's people that feel like that they should be something else, that they should identify as a Black Hawk helicopter, a freaking mole mouse, a woman, whatever it happens to be. And historically, that's always been a very, very small percentage of the population, probably less than 1%. I don't think there's any other animal in like planet Earth that goes to the lengths of trying to identify with something completely different like humans do. And that's fine. I don't care. I'm a libertarian, do whatever you want. But why is it being crammed down our throat now everywhere, now inclusive of marketing companies? I already know that I'm not giving these people money, right? Like, Gillette will never see a dime from me. Nike, I'm done with. I don't drink beer anyway, so screw that shit, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not about doing whatever you want, right? Because that's where we get dangerous. Like, that's when you put people that are marginal and at risk actually at more risk. This is a conversation I've had with people actually over the last few weeks, where the hot thing now is to separate sex and gender. Well, okay, then fine. But let's just say, if gender is the only thing, if you can identify however you want, If we can cut the link between biological sex and gender, and if that's fine, but how we classify things like sports and locker rooms and bathrooms and spaces and jails and prisons, we classify those things by gender, not sex. Mm-hmm. So when somebody who gets convicted for assault against women, sexual assault against women, and then during lockup, they get to say, actually, I identify as a woman, so now I get to go to a woman's prison and then assault more women. It's not about just do whatever you want.
You're getting exactly what you wanted.
Let me just chime in here for a second. So, first of all, like, I'm not a helicopter, but I do identify as the Black Hawk for sure. So.
Well, guys, did
you say Black Hawk or Black Hawk?
Oh, Black Hawk, of course, Black Hawk. I think there's two things in my opinion that are going on. So first of all, like, these companies, like, they have nothing to lose, though. Okay, like, the idea of boycotts doesn't really work because these companies own so many brands that if you like drinking beer, you're going to be drinking one of their products, no doubt, though. So they don't really have anything to lose. Like, you know, like, and in my opinion, it is about money. Like, these companies have marketing departments that have, like, just hundreds of people in it that, like, they know what they're doing. They run the numbers. They know how much they're going to lose if they run these campaigns.
Actually, that's not true because I just looked it up here. Gillette lost 15% quarterly revenue from that toxic masculinity ad. So boycotts to some degree do affect their bottom line. And when you're a publicly traded company, you have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders. So technically, at the end of the day, they do have some effect.
Okay, sure. But I guess kind of the second thing is that the reason why you're seeing all this nonsense is because, like, they're just trying to market. Like, I think, like, on average, we know that women make 77 cents on the dollar, you know, on average, if we take all the professions, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They just dominate the market. They completely dominate the market. Something like, I don't want to say the exact number, but the vast majority of purchases are controlled by women. So even
72, 73%.
Yeah. So even if you're buying like a car, like, the woman gets a say. Like, you're not buying the Mustang, you're buying the SUV or you're buying the minivan, right? Because they control, like you said, 70-something% of the purchases. So they want to cater to the women in order to get those dollars. Like, men don't really care about that kind of stuff. Like, even the stuff that men spend money on, its marketing doesn't really affect that as much. Like, for instance, like, McLaren doesn't have to advertise their cars, right? Their cars are high in demand, and men buy stuff like that, which marketing doesn't really affect it as much, you know. And whereas women, they want to feel inclusive, they want to do all that. So, like, with this campaign, they're just trying to market to women. So
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Mr. Canadian, because Jesse Kelly, he's a political pundit in DC. He said the biggest, most adherent demographic to this current insane woke Marxism gender stuff is the white liberal suburban woman, and she's the equivalent of, like, the, you know, Mao's pajama wearing people back in the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Peterson also alluded to it when he said, you know, some and if you look at it, like, I got black friends that live in the hood. They don't have this problem because they're too busy trying to keep their kids safe and put food on the table. And if you look at any of the proponents of this stuff, it's generally affluent white liberal women. And Jordan Peterson had one example. He said, you know, the chances of this woman having a transgender and a gay child under 10 is 5 million to 1.
Yeah.
And I saw someone on Twitter say that the Coach handbag has been replaced by the transgender child now.
Yeah, that is seriously profound. That is very astute. Yeah. It's
so that's where it's coming from, and it's just what our buddy just said there. That's marketers target. Marketers and advertisers target women. They get them emotionally, and if you saw that undercover real estate thing in New York from a couple of years ago, where this lady pretended to be a billionaire's wife looking for a $200 million pad in New York, she found out that when dudes were getting sold these places, they were told about the value of the investment. But every time she went along, it was like, imagine your kids here, imagine this, imagine that. The realtors were selling her imagination and emotion. And that's what they've, there's affluent white suburban women in the Western world think they're the next incarnation of Gandhi and Martin Luther King because they want, Tammy to get her breast chopped off when she's 12.
Yeah, it's it's so bizarre because I saw this meme a couple weeks ago and I've been thinking about it a lot because I get like anybody else out there that has a presence, you're always going to get hate, and I always get hate from these like young nerds. They'll call you names like boomer or something like that. And it's like, dude, like your generation this and your generation that. It's like, yeah, at least my generation didn't cut off its dick. At a mic, I'd drop it right now, but this one's affected over here. But I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here and pin down below in the top comment. You'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.